on governmental withholds. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the FIRPTA and the 593. The FIRPTA is often some breach. We don't get into details on this. 1099's and trusts. And so let's start off with what do we have first? Okay, so we have the form 593. The state of California, as well as the IRS, but this is the state of California. They always want money. Government always wants money. So these are going to be big things that your sellers, when you're a listing agent, that is just going to be for the sellers on this side. So the form 593C, the state of California has designated that you have to own property 2 out of the past 5 years as your primary residence. If it's not your primary residence, the state is going to want 3.33% of the purchase price. And we have to remit that at close of escrow to the franchise tax board. Now, those 2 years do not have to be contiguous. Meaning, you could have lived in the property for 6 months, then moved to Hawaii for a year, then came back and lived for another year, then moved, and came back for 6 months. It's just a total of 2 years at a past 5. Now, there are exemptions. If these are all of your exemptions under Part 3. Do you guys see the 593?
Yes.
Okay, so page 1, Part 3. Number 1, if it's your primary residence, based on what I just stated, then you're exempt. We will not remit any funds to the franchise tax board. If you have a deceased seller in their primary residence, then that's still good. Okay. A lot of times you'll get estate sales that we have. Josephine does a lot in estate sales. So if it's an estate sale, of course, and they live there, no, we do not. There are different exemptions, like we're not going to withhold for corporations, and we're not going to hold for LLCs, but it has to be if the LLC has 2 members or more. A lot of LLCs just be a single member LLC. They still have to pay. It's not their primary. Trusts, we have to withhold. If there are withholds, you want to reduce that amount that's due to the franchise tax board. Page 2, you could always try to put in for the property that's depreciated. Okay, most properties in California are not depreciating at all, but you can do a loss. You know, you put in $100,000 and you're not getting all of that back. You put in, so this is a way to itemize it, and you will notify us, not you. The sellers will notify us on how much they want to withhold. This is not up to us to fill out for them. Okay, they need to know that if there's going to be more taxes at the end of the year, then that's on them. We can't fill this out for them. You guys cannot fill this out for them. We're not accountants. You're not accountants. The agents, the escrow, they need to listen. The reason I'm telling you this is because when you get a listing, you'll need to know if it is their primary residence. lot of agents never tell their clients that, and when they see the sellers get cheap, and you have a big chunk coming out going to the franchise tax board, and a big chunk coming out going to the IRS, they get a little pissed. They get a lot of pissed. Why didn't you tell me this up front? You know, why didn't you tell me we had to own it for 2 years? So these are important things, okay? What we'll do is at close of escrow, we're going to send this document in to the franchise tax board with their check. And it's on down from here on out, okay? So this also has general information, which we send all of this to yourselves, okay? The reason I'm letting you guys know on these documents is because a lot of times they're your clients, so they'll go to you. They won't feel comfortable coming to us, they have to know us or whatever it is, okay? So if they do come to you, you guys will know how to explain this to them, all right?
Question, I have a question. So this is for the sellers, not if it's a husband and wife or just one person needs to fill it out.
Just for yourself.
Correct.
Okay. And again, on page 1, part 3, it'll give you what the exemptions are.
Got it.
Now, they can always ask us who's qualified as an exemption. We're happy to tell them. Okay. If there are absolutely no exemptions at all, you're not doing any depreciation, they're going to check down at the very bottom, line number 12. The minimum we can hold is 3.33%. But sometimes if you have investors or something, they may want to hold more, 8%, 12%. You know, to help them at the end of the year. So there are exemptions. No.
What's the purpose
Of the 593's,
Yes.
which is required by law. We have to send this to the franchise tax board at the close of escrow. Okay, they want money if it's like an investment property. Okay, it's not your primary residence. Give me money. Give me money.
Yes, primary residence.
If it's your primary residence, you have to own it 2 out of the past 5 years as your primary residence. And there's no withholding.
So is it in addition to capital gains? Or is
Capital gains is all
it's
that,
federal?
again,
Okay.
we don't deal with their capital.
Okay.
But this will be calculated into a figure. And they're going to want a copy of this. We always send them the closing documents to know what, so they'll have that for the CP at the end of the year, how much we submitted to the franchise tax board, because a lot of times they can write a lot of that off. Okay, same with the FIRPTA, which we'll get to. Okay, so let's go to what's called the FIRPTA. FIRPTA stands for Franchise Tax Board. A lot of. Okay, so the next one where it says IRS. We're going to skip that. We'll go back.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Sorry.
It's towards the back.
Towards the back, all the way to the back.
The very last one.
Very last, like 4 pages.
Okay.
So the IRS section?
It's gonna say U.S. withholding tax return.
Oh, okay, so beyond
Yeah, that one.
This one?
Starting with the form, right?
Start with what?
The A288 form?
Where do you go on the FIRPTA? Let's do FIRPTA.
Oh, no, I just got the 8288. I don't got the FIRPTA
Yeah,
document.
we know FIRPTA. Okay, so what we have is called a FIRPTA. I'm sure you've heard that often, FIRPTA. What the FIRPTA is, it's the same mentality as that 593, but it's for the IRS and it's with some different changes. FIRPTA stands for Foreign Investment in Real Property Tax Act. This came into play back in the mid-70s, around 74, 75. When I first picked up my desk back in 1985, you had a lot of foreigners that were buying U.S. property. This is when our economy sucked back in the 70s. You had the Japanese would come here, they'd buy a home for 200,000, they would sell it a year later for 600,000. They would take those proceeds and go back to their country. Well, under the Jimmy Carter administration, he said, no, it's not going to happen anymore. You're making money off our land. You need to pay taxes on that. It used to be 10%. It just went up to 15%. We will withhold these proceeds, and it's 15% from the top, from the purchase price. It's not from the proceeds. But if you tell from the proceeds, no, it's not. It's off the top. If you are a foreigner that does not have a tax ID number or social security or an ITIN, we'll get into that next. Then the IRS requires from us to withhold 15% in close of escrow, shoot it over to the IRS. So again, if they are foreigners who do not have an ITIN or EIN or social security, if they are foreigners and they do have a social security number and are paying taxes here, they have a social security number, not an ITIN. ITIN stands for International Tax ID number. So if they are a foreigner, non-resident, and they do have a social security number where they're paying taxes, we're not going to do it. Okay. If they are a foreigner and have an ITIN, we are still going to need to remit that to the IRS. And at the end of the year, those sellers can go to the IRS and do the taxes and do whatever. Now, a lot of things, one thing that stumps people all the time is that they're not aware that they need to have a tax ID. Well, but we're not U.S. citizens, doesn't matter. You need to get an international tax ID. They have to process that through San Antonio, Texas, where they actually have to get it, or the IRS could hold on to that money for it. That's a lot of money, typically. So at the end of the year, once they get their ITN, they do their taxes, a lot of that they can get back as a refund. Okay, they can write some of it off or whatever. They have to have an ITN.
And typically they don't have it at the conclusion of the sale, they don't have that, they can get it
They
later.
still need to, exactly,
Got it.
because what's going to happen is the IRS is going to come back after them and say, we have money here, you need to file your tax, you need to file taxes. And a lot of people say, well, gee, that's $250,000 you're holding. Why do you get all of that? We want some of that back. So they will, you can get a portion of that back at the end of the year. Okay.
So you have to have the ITN number. You said.
ITIN, International Tax ID. They can get it, and if you guys have questions afterward, email us, and I'll go ahead and send you the information for just for the future, so you have it for the future clients that don't have a tax ID number. We can get you their contact number for the IRS. Or your clients.
If they have an ITN number, there is a withhold.
We're still going to do a withhold, but no, yes, we do have to do a withhold. If they have an ITIN number, that's going to make it easier for the sellers at the end of the year, because they were smart enough to have an ITIN if they're gonna get some of those proceeds back. If they don't, and they just forget it, the IRS is gonna take that money, you're not gonna get it. And they'll probably not let you do business again with the US. Okay. So the next document we have, if you guys have any questions on it, it's an easy one to understand, but you guys need to understand this because you're so, like I said, oh, what from South Korea, we didn't know we had them. So I didn't know we had to take that. Well, yeah, we did. And if you don't, as your agents, as the listing agent, don't tell them that, they'll get upset towards the end of it. You're receiving proceeds going from $1 million to $500,000, going around what happened. Exactly. So it's important to know. And again, if you guys have any questions after the class, or in escrow, or with a client, or whatever, call me. Just call me. Everyone should have my cell number. I don't have business cards, but Jonathan will have that. It's in my signature line. Itachi will have it, Joey will have it, everybody will have it. Okay, so if you need that, always call me. Don't feel funny calling me on the weekends or late at night. You know, if I'm with the client, I hate calling you, but do it's you know, I'm not going to cry. I'd rather you guys be looking good with your clients, you know what you're talking about, and have the resources if you don't, than looking like fools with your clients. Absolutely. Oh, wait, you know what? Stupid. 840-444-2001. That's it's David, last name EHRICH. Pronounced error. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that's that.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to go to the 1099. On all transactions, let me shake my backtrack. On most transactions, we have to file the 1099 on the close. Okay. So at the end of the year, all of your clients are going to get a 1099 with property sold for. If it was between you and a different person, you would have proceeds, how much you're paying on your proration of taxes, all of these are things that we have to report. Okay, this is also an IRS stuff. So you're doing your taxes at the end of the year, you're with your accountant, where's your 1099? You say, what are you talking about? Well, you sold a home. Of course we did. Where's your 1099? They should have the 1099. We will prepare that for them at the close of escrow. Actually, RBJ, our software company, does what we do. So this document is required at the end of the year. 1099, just keep that in mind. It's something simple because I'm sure you have your 1099s forever. All right. Just a simple document. We don't need to get into detail on that. It's just to give you an update what they are. So what we need to do is we need to send in 5828. So let's go back to the first one we were just talking about with the IRS. We are also going to send what's called an 8828, or we send in this check to the IRS. 8828 is just a breakdown. It's got the seller social, it's got our tax ID number, it's got the purchase price, client name, blah, 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 blah. We have to send this in 3 copies, an A, B, and a C, to the franchise tax board. I'm sorry, to the IRS. When we send the check to the IRS. I'm going to sidetrack here. As much part of the class, but something that just came up to my mind. Powers of attorney. Okay. We're all familiar with powers of attorney. If you're entitled with your mother or she's in Hong Kong, then she wants to give you a power of attorney to sign for her. Powers of attorney, we have to do a special power of attorney, and they are only good for individuals. Powers of attorneys cannot be used for corporations, for LLCs, or for trusts. Keep that in mind with your clients. If they're sellers, or even if they're buyers, and they're purchasing or selling, we have to have, under those 3 entities, we have to have their signatures. You cannot get the power of attorney out. Okay? That just popped in my head, so I don't go right through that. But we're talking about corporations and LLCs. So trusts. Many people are in trusts. Okay. We're going to have you're already in a trust, or you're going to be creating a trust while you're in escrow. You have a big estate, okay? Everything is not just going to be in yours and your spouse and your significant others. Okay. Creating a trust, you have kids, you have grandkids. Your mother is in a rest home. You have certain vendors that you're going to break down on the trust and where the proceeds are going to go, and who is the trustee and the trustor of that trust. So your trustee does not always have to be the trustor of the trust. You can have your parents be the trustee for your trust, okay? Where you don't have to sign it, it would be your parents that are signing, or you're elderly and some of these people are starting to lose their cognitive senses to them. So what happens often, more often than you guys would not, you guys would be surprised. You have one individual in the trust who's not all there. They're getting dementia, they're getting Alzheimer's, etc. What's going to be required by law, a title by the government for us, is if they are incapacitated either mentally or physically, they can't sign anymore for whatever reason. We need to get 2 doctors' notes from 2 separate doctors stating that yes, indeed, John Doe has no he's incapacitated. Basically what they say. We have to get that over to title. Now they cannot, most often, they cannot be within the same office. Some title companies will let you skim over that. But typically they want 2 separate doctors so they don't think that somebody's going to meet with the buyer's kid. The purpose of this, why do we need to know this? Because we need to send out a trust cert. We need to know who the trustee is, who can sign for the trust to sell the property. You have to have 1 or 2 or however many trustees that are in the trust to sign off on that. Okay? We have to have that signed, notarized, sent to title. what we're gonna require is, page 1 of the trust, with the name on it. The last page of the trust, or last pages, it all depends, where you have the signature and where you have the notarization. Sometimes they're on the same page, sometimes it's the next page. And there's always going to be in a trust a provision where the trust is authorized or not to purchase, sell, or refinance real property. Some trusts say you can't. Very few, but there's always going to be that provision in your trust agreement. So we need to know that as well. Now, trusts, like I said, are very, very common. Problem we run into quite often is, oh, that trust is 20 years old. I don't have a copy of it anymore. You know, go to your attorney to get it. That attorney died 5 years ago. Somebody's got to have a copy of this trust. You have to have a copy. Most people have it. They don't put it in a trust. On occasion, we get it when we just are not familiar with that. So that is basically our short class today. And I know we didn't really cover much, but what we did cover is important because the two governmental documents, FIRPTA and FIRPTA, we have to, it's our job to remit those funds. And a lot of people, like I said, don't tell them up front. Yeah, but you may want to ask them. But if you don't tell them up front, they're going to have to do a withhold. And when they see their estimate and it's 200 grand less than what they thought they were going to get, they're going to be pissed at you. Not at us, they're going to be pissed at you. We're not telling them. We're more than happy to let them know during the transaction. And we do. We let them know. We always ask them the questions, what's your primary residence? You know, social security number, tax number. So we'll walk them through this, but these are things that you guys need to know as listing agents.
Oh, you said, who are we telling this to again?
One more time.
Are you telling this to the sellers?
This is for the seller. Yeah, we'll let them know as well.
Yeah,
I mean, because we send out documents
yeah,
that are going to request their tax ID. Statement of information is going to want that. The FIRPTA is going to want that. The FIRPTA is going to want that. A lot of different documents. 1099's going to ask that. If they don't have that, if we don't see it on there, we say we're going to ask them in a polite way. Are you borrowing? No, I'm kidding. We'll ask them. You know, and then we'll take it upon ourselves to notify them as well. You'll be copied in always involved. We're not going to copy you on every email. That doesn't make sense. We'll copy you on important emails, which we know may trigger the client. You know, not necessarily trigger bad, but trigger them to answer questions. So this is something that you guys will be aware of as well. Again, if you guys have questions at all, after, call me or email me. Call Jonathan. He doesn't know the answer. He's got my number. You guys have that question?
No, that's not, okay.
and you said the number was 840 444-2001. All right, so
Are you gonna stick around after this? I have one question, but I just ask it now.
I'm not going anywhere.
So,
Thank you, I'm not going anywhere.
I have a possible opportunity coming up. It's my ex-father-in-law, and he's 87, 88. Him and his wife are Spanish-speaking folks only. My ex-wife is their daughter. If I get into contract with them, if I send the information to the daughter and she agrees with my ex-wife, does she have to have powers of attorney, or can she just interpret the emails? Well, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's a gray area or not.
Mi familia de mi madre estudia española. So I can probably walk them through a bit, but yes, she can certainly
Interpret
Yeah,
everything.
absolutely. Not a
Okay.
problem. They are both cognitive,
Yes,
so they're fine.
okay.
They're just.
And how quick can you get powers of attorney and or a trust?
We'll prepare them right away.
Oh,
Keep in mind, power of attorney will have to be notarized. If you're in a foreign country, you can't just go to the local notary and get it notarized. You have to go to the American embassy or the American consulate to have it signed and notarized.
thank you.
Exceptions to that would be an apostille, but from the government of that country, okay? But the county recorder really likes to have us, our government, I should say, notarize that. So we can send it to them, you can just scan it to them, they can print out a copy, take it to the American Embassy in Singapore, boom, 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 email it, FedEx back to us, put in a return FedEx, prepaid and all that. So we always want the clients to have the easiest experience, because going through escrow, y'all been through escrow?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crap. It is, I mean,
Nail biting, hair pulling.
you're dealing with most people's single largest investment in their life. Okay? So we know that, and we know that you have to have a lot of patience, because a lot of these people are ding, you know. But they weren't like that when it was listing down, when we got the sales agreement. People freak out when you see all these documents. It's overwhelming. You're not corresponding with us enough. You're corresponding with us too much. They're all, so we get that. It's not always easy to bite your tongue, but you do. Because that typically they're not that way. So it just happens. Any questions?
Good information.
David has more patience than Job.
Well, that's saying a lot.
You have more patience than Job.
It happens when you get old. I just turned 63. I hear that number, it's like, oh my gosh.
That's new 53 these days.
Well, I don't think of it. I don't think of myself as old, but when you look at it in writing, it's like, man, 6 years.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
You got it.
In this
Appreciate
case, in your case, would it be good if, you're good term with the ex, for her to be, have power of attorney for the mother and father?
Well, that's
Yeah,
not
you
good. That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
They live a block away.
So she want to be.
I'm sure she would, and then she just handle everything.
You could, the thing is that title's gonna want a good reason why there would be a power of attorney. Okay. Oh, they're out of state, it's just too big of a deal, but if they're out the street,
Yeah, I mean, they're both cognitive, they just
Yeah.
rather not deal with the whole,
well,
I mean, they don't know what email
but
is.
unfortunately,
Unless she has powers of attorney,
yes, but it's gotta be a really good reason.
then that can open a whole can of worms.
Yeah, when your title is really.
There's Stacy, remember, there's Stacy does, rather not deal with it.
Well, and, title's funny about that, they wanna know if you're, why is. Attorney back for. So they want a good reason, not just. If we don't wanna deal with it.
It's really dumb.
Fine, fine. On the good side, the flip side, is the majority of documents we send out is via DocuSign. So they just boom, 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 rather than having to the old fashioned way where we had everything is.
And we just provide an email, they can sit with them and say, this is what's going on, they can see it.
Exactly. So realistically, only the grantee, the instruction of proceeds. If they're in a trust certification. Are the only ones that we need a live signature along with the electronic signature agreement. Because three of those have to be memorized.
Right,
So.
but if they're able to do that, it's better than do with emails.
We'll send somebody out, Melanie or Mel, will send them out to their home to get everything signed and done.
Got it.
Okay,
Thank you, David.
you got it, guys.
We'll get some food. Right? Farmer's market.
Yeah, yeah, I see.